This video is to replace one that went out earlier today, which I've now unlisted. So apologies if you were watching that video and you got cut off partway through. I still stand by what I said in that video, but I'm doing this video because too many people misunderstood what I said in that video and took the view that I was taking sides, which I'm not. Now, just to be absolutely clear, I'm not supporting Russell Brand and I'm not against him either. I'm not supporting YouTube and I'm not against YouTube. What I said in the video is that there is a justification from their part because they wouldn't just pull something without any good reason. Now, as a lawyer, I very often tell you things as a client, if you were my client, that you might not like to hear. Many clients will hear something that is not good news for them. They don't have a case or the case against them is pretty strong. Clearly, people don't like to hear that. Now, in this case, we don't know whether these allegations are true or not. We only know that these allegations have been published. And I can tell you as a lawyer that these news organizations, whether or not it is a coordinated attack effort against Russell Brand, because perhaps, as some have suggested, that they don't like competition. I believe it was Elon Musk that suggested that they might not like competition, and that might be why there's a coordinated attack. But I can tell you that irrespective of all of that, these news companies are not going to publish these allegations unless they have some information that they have thoroughly investigated to deem credible. That is not to say that the allegations are well-founded. That is not to say that there's going to be any charges, as I discussed in my yesterday's video. There are no charges as we understand it. The Met Police thus far has only very briefly commented on the reports that were made in 2003 and have not yet said that there's any current or even pending charges. And so there are no charges as we currently understand it. But there are reports about these allegations. And so, again, whether these allegations are true or not, there must be sufficient information to justify for these news companies to publish these allegations, and whether or not they've passed information to Google, to their YouTube team, to make that decision to demonetize his channel. It is a very drastic step. But what I'm saying in the video that I polled is that they would have had something with which to make that decision. I do not believe that it would be a knee-jerk snap decision without the consideration of at least some material. But even if it is just temporarily pulling it on the face of the allegations until they find out more, that is their call to make. Now, in the video, I'll make some of the same points again because those points are still valid. Many people in a contract of employment might have a clause in there where you cannot have a criminal conviction, you cannot have serious allegations that hit the press. Those are often contained within morality clauses. And if you do, then you might be putting your job at risk. I gave the example of pilots. By way of example, if a pilot is convicted of a serious driving offence, it probably will mean that they lose their job as a pilot with that airline. It might even jeopardize their pilot's license. I haven't looked into it in any depth, but even without looking at it, I can tell you there will be some link between the two. Some of these things are just so common sense that they stand up to scrutiny. Any other kind of employment, I gave the example where someone might be working in a school or they might be working in a hospital. If they have serious allegations, you would be concerned if they didn't act on some credible news story. Maybe some of you don't believe there's a credible news story, but maybe there's a news story and let's say a hospital or a school did not act if these allegations came out and then something happened. Then obviously everyone will be blaming the school, blaming the hospital for not taking action when they knew about these allegations. So when these allegations hit the press, there's a number of things that have happened. The legal companies or departments will have been consulted extensively. Indeed, our Alan Robertshaw, who hosts mostly by himself, but sometimes with me, the Art of Law channel, that's always linked in the description below, used to work for the news companies. And we've had a number of conversations and we've brought you many videos where they will thoroughly investigate, is this going to give us any kind of legal risk exposure if we publish this story and now go to someone like Al and say, we're about to publish this, what do you think? Someone like Al will say, what's the backup you've got? What information do you have? What is the source of the information? You know, how can you justify it if this came to court for a defamation claim? You know, if the newspaper gets sued for serious harm to someone's reputation, let's make no mistake, this is serious harm now to Russell Brand's reputation. And serious harm in the sense of defamation, because there are consequences. YouTube has demonetized his channel. Therefore, what we believe to be his main source of income, at least one of his main sources of income, has disappeared. So that I'm not crossing any boundaries by saying would quite easily cross this threshold of serious harm if there were defamation claims brought. So if all of these allegations turned out to be completely false and fabricated, then quite clearly there would be a defamation claim to be had there. But which is why, working backwards, these news companies will consult with somebody like Al, who specializes in what will amount to defamation and whether there could be a potential action against them if they are wrong. So again, backing up to the beginning of this video, to correct the impression that some people might have had, I am not taking sides here. Lawyers, believe it or not, lawyers do not take sides. Lawyers will tell you how it is. And sometimes that might be in a way that is upsetting to people. It might sound one-sided. I have had myself comments from clients that say, you sound like you're arguing for the other side. Well, believe me, you want a lawyer who will see this from the other side so they know what angles the other side's going to take. But sometimes if as a lawyer we see the arguments from the other side and then we come to you and say, this is the argument from the other side, it's a good one. They've got a good argument here. So we have to go on, a real defensive or even consider some kind of settlement because you're going to lose this one. Some lawyers adopt the phrase, this claim must fail or this defense must fail. Or in some cases, we have one at the moment, which I can't tell you about because it's a live case, but the defense, in inverted commas, that's been filed is not a defense in the eyes of the law. The defense says, this happened, and this happened, but, we don't agree with this. But all of that does not amount to a defense. So even if everything they say is true within the defense, the claim still succeeds, meaning the defense must fail because it doesn't amount to a defense. Now, whatever side of that argument you're on, you're going to have these conversations with the client. And obviously the lawyer for the client in that case is going to say to the claimant, well, they don't have a defense. So, we can really go in hard with this. Whereas the lawyer for the defense is going to have to say, there is no defense here. This defense will fail. And so sometimes saying something as a lawyer is not something you're going to want to hear. But in this case here, what I'm saying to you, rather than taking sides and rather than saying who is right and who is wrong, because we don't know, one thing I do agree with is the comment that a lot of people have made is that this feels like trial by media. That is almost exactly what I'm trying to prevent by saying we do not know whether these allegations are true or false. And as I said in my first video, false allegations do happen. But it's also true that allegations are made several years later. Now, another comment that I've seen very often online throughout all of the threads is that, why didn't these women go to the police? Well, as it turns out, one did, and it wasn't taken forward. There's all sorts of question marks over why that wasn't taken forward. And the police in the UK have not got the very best of the reputation at the moment. Some of them are fantastic, and there's a lot of them being suspended for wrongful behavior. But that's a story for another video. So there's a whole bunch of question marks over why that case didn't go forward many years ago. But also lots of reasons that people do not go forward to the police with these complaints in the first place. Horrendously low conviction rates. The whole thing is dragged through court, even though they get anonymity granted in cases like this. They still have the whole case dragged through court, and it takes several years, and many of them don't want to do that. obviously having their whole life examined and put under scrutiny for the allegations that they've made. And they are just allegations until they are proven. Many of them just don't want to do that until many years later they pluck up the courage to do so, or they finally feel that they have the strength to do so, and they can't stand not having had it taken to court many years later. And the other thing that I will comment on just briefly before I round off this video is that the notion of innocent until proven guilty is absolutely right. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty, but that is not to say either that allegations that are live are not necessarily founded on some level. And as I said, if they are all wrong, then both the people making the allegations and the newspapers will have something to answer to. But as I say, it is more likely or virtually certain that these news companies will have investigated this information to some degree. So rather than think that I am taking sides here, which I'm not, I am laying out to you what I genuinely think the case to be. I do not think for a moment that these will have been printed without some kind of research and thorough consultation with legal counsel. And likewise, I don't think YouTube, as in Google, would have just pulled the monetization of his channel without some credible information. I don't know that for a fact, but I can tell you that that is just not the way companies work. At least I certainly hope not. I don't think companies will act as a total knee-jerk reaction and just do it on a whim without some investigation. And we don't know whether it's permanent either. We don't know whether it's just temporary until they see the information. But again, history has told us with many different people that have come to the forefront of allegations, that have been convicted and have gone to prison, who were not taken off air when the allegations first surfaced. The allegations were not taken seriously when they first surfaced. And there's a lot of criticism retrospectively of those media companies, of the companies that didn't take action when those allegations surfaced. So as the saying goes very often on this channel, you can't have it both ways. We can't have a system and a society where these allegations come to light and we just do nothing about them and lessen until there is a court case and a conviction, at the same time as retrospectively criticize the organizations that take no action when the allegations surface because there's been no court case and conviction. So we can't really have it both ways. There has to be a decision. There has to be a choice. I'm here to tell you that we don't know what the truth is here. All we do know, as I said in my first video, which is still live, I'll link that one in the description below. All I can say is that the allegations have been published. And until either those are corrected or they are pushed forward to some kind of charge and trial, we will not know the truth of this. And frankly, we may never know because nothing may come of these allegations. It might just be that they hit the media, he's been taken out, and it might well be a coordinated attack. It's quite literally a coordinated attack, as I've said previously. These news companies did an investigation, they came together, and they've now published these findings. So I hope that clarifies the situation. Lawyers can very often sound like they're taking sides. That is not how it was intended to be. So I hope you don't think that that is the case. I am telling you how I think it is genuinely, and hopefully that is some explanation to you. So as always, if you find any of this useful, please do remember to subscribe, and I will see you next time.